We wanted to quickly address this injury situation in tennis. We were just watching Andy Roddick's podcast.
People who are not reacting well to the physicality of this tennis calendar. It feels like we're dropping like flies in Madrid. So I mean, we have Carlos with his arm, and now he's out of Rome. Sinner pulling out of a tournament. He's a fair bit in, and also ended Monte Carlo with a bit of a cramp or leg injury. I wonder if it's a hip. We never got full clarity on that. And then Medvedev, who never really complains about physical ailments. I hope it's a spasm, but it's a hip injury. As well, it's a bit of an issue, I think.
We're not talking about old players here where you can make the excuse that, it's age and this is over the course of, a 20-year career. We're talking about 3 of the top 5 players that have withdrawn are young players at or approaching the peak of their career. These injuries are non-contact because there's no contact in tennis, what you could call wear and tear injuries. The question is this amount of wear and tear natural or normal? And the answer is no. We wanted to address this because nobody really seems to understand why this is happening. These athletes are very dynamic, they're moving very explosively, and the body needs to be able to manage energy in a very efficient way. So the training needs to be about how can we get the body in a state to manage energy efficiently, not about how strong can this and that muscle be and let's do some stretches for recovery. We have to look at it more holistically. That doesn't mean stretching muscles. It means decompressing the system as a whole so that there's space for energy to flow through it more freely. It's a much different approach than just stretching and strengthening muscles like most of these trainers and these players are doing. It's different than that. We have to get away from that textbook way of looking at things, which is outdated. It's very, very predictable, these injuries, which means at the same time they're very, very avoidable. The number one injury that seems to be happening right now is hip. When you're asking your body to perform at a very high level, you go into the gym and doing front squats or deadlifts or back squats, that's just compressing your skeleton. Then you go to play tennis and you need lots of space in your hips to store energy and then explosively release that energy. Your hip needs space to do that. If you're an athlete and you're in your early 20s, you can clearly start to get degenerative hip problems, strains, tears, and all these things because there's no space for things to slide and glide and move properly. Something's got to give at some point. If your whole body can't work in unison, the hip or the lower back is really going to get jammed up, especially when, because of lifestyle factors, excessive sitting, footwear, I won't get into the details of those, but those two things especially, the way people sit and the footwear, it creates postural problems, postural deformities. And so when you don't have a structure that's balanced and you're putting that much force repeatedly through the body, those areas are going to eat a lot of energy that's going to cause breakdown and injury. Hip strains, hip problems, hip pain, lower back pain is going to be a manifestation of that. And then when you go to training and you start doing stuff like lifting weights or doing things that are reinforcing the limitations that are already in the body rather than opening the body up, freeing the body up, decompressing the body so that it can continue to perform sustainably, you're actually asking for these injuries. Though they're training with good intention of increasing performance and they may be increasing their short-term, short-lived performance, strength, power, but it's at the expense of longevity. So what is the point of having a little bit more power for the next few weeks or months if you have to sit out the next tournament because your body can't accommodate that power properly? So it's breaking down. It's experiencing wear and tear at such an early age that really shouldn't be happening at all at that stage. The solution, change the training, number one. The training is mostly wrong. It needs to involve a lot more things that are going to decompress the system, get the joints working properly, and then get the body coordinating in harmony. And then it also needs to be addressed in the off-the-court stuff other than training. So I would just say one of the biggest culprits is the sitting. These players need to be aware of how they carry themselves when they're not playing tennis, because walking around with poor posture, sitting for extended periods of time is just destroying the body structurally. If they removed chairs from their lives and just learned how to sit back on the ground again, decompress on the ground, rest on the ground, that would solve a lot of the problems right there. About sitting on the ground, why does that matter? Because it helps the body to naturally align. So when you introduce these artificial things like chairs that are so poorly designed, it may seem comfortable because we've become accustomed to them, but in actuality, it's not comfortable for the skeleton because it's not a natural alignment for the skeleton. If you sit on the ground, self-supporting, your body will naturally maintain itself in a postural sense. I also want to clarify this term posture, because when I say posture, I just mean the alignment of your skeleton with the muscle and everything, all the soft tissue removed. How would that need to be suspended in space for everything to swing and move freely? If you look at a baby, an infant, and you observe them from the side when they stand, the alignment of their head, rib cage, and pelvis in relation to their feet, they are in a more decompressed state. The spine is in an elongated state. It has the natural shape. When I do this, that's not the natural shape of the spine. When I do this, this is the natural shape of the spine. So from here, I'm free to move forward and do athletic things because my hips and my lower back have space to, absorb and release energy without getting jammed up. It's not something you can just switch on. Change your posture. Okay, stand up straight. No, your body, you can only assume the posture that your body is capable of assuming right now based on how much space your joints have, based on how much space is in your body. You're storing and you're transmitting a lot of force through your body if you're a professional tennis player. To ask that of your body means that you need all the working parts of your body to play in harmony. So what do I mean by harmony? You need all of the joints to be working properly because that's a lot of energy going through the joints. If the joints aren't functioning properly, if they don't have enough space to function properly, and the body doesn't have enough connective integrity, not muscular strength, but connective integrity, then certain areas are going to eat a lot of stress. We don't have to talk about anatomy or specific terms. It's just think about it in terms of energy. Your body as an athlete is storing and releasing energy, whether that's to run, walk, serve, backhand, forehand, whatever it is, you're just repeatedly storing and releasing energy. And when you're doing it at such a high level, it's a lot of energy. So your body needs to be that much more open and capable of accepting or absorbing and releasing the energy smoothly in a way that's not causing a bunch of friction in the body. So when I take a quick glance at the training routines of these players, the majority of stuff that they're doing is not helping their body operate the way that I'm talking about, in a geometrically sound way that can store and release energy efficiently without causing a lot of friction in the system that's going to cause them to eat a lot of unnecessary stress that's going to lead to these injuries. It's not drastic changes that need to be made, but it's very specific things that need to change in order to stop this problem from getting worse and worse and worse, which it is, because it stinks to see so many great young players and talented players be held back, and you can't even see them play because they have to sit out because of these injuries at such a young age. So we need to change the training. We need to educate about off the court lifestyle factors that are destroying the body. And the culmination of those things is resulting in much more fragile athletes, even though they are performing at a high level, highly skilled, but there's just no longevity in it. There's no sustainability in it. And I think I saw an interview with Djokovic before where he said injury is an athlete's worst enemy. And that's true. If you can't play, then that's the worst thing as an athlete. So I hope that who needs to see this video sees it, whether that's related to these professionals or whether that's at a much earlier grassroots level. And if you want to get more information about this, on how to train and prepare athletes with a long-term sustainable outlook so that they don't peak at a super early age and then just start being riddled with frustrating injuries, sometimes career-ending injuries prematurely, then follow us for more content. Reach out if you want to get your body assessed and figure out what you need to start doing right now to avoid these very debilitating situations from occurring for you and your athletes. Thanks for watching.